Hello and welcome to another Office Hours capsule. That's right, capsule. This is a small segment of my Office Hours live stream, live on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. Come join us live, where it's an AMA. We kind of hang out, talk about lore, talk about news. People can ask questions. I'll do my best to answer them. It's a grand old community stream talking about Star Citizen, and sometimes I'll bust out my Warhammer figurines that I paint up and show off updates and stuff like that. And Star Citizenship paints and that kind of stuff. So come join us live is what I'm trying to say. But we've been doing this on a monthly basis for almost a year now, where I record myself reading the Persistent Universe monthly report for whatever the previous month was, to give you guys and gals an idea of what is happening in development. Now, this is not a summary. This is a full read-through of exactly what they said. There's nothing wrong with summaries. I understand people don't have a lot of time and they need something, so they rely on someone to kind of summarize what's the important parts from a report. The problem is, with relying on that as your main method for information, is frankly, and I don't want to take this the wrong way, but you're relying on the bias of the person reading you what is important, what isn't. And so you'll often miss aspects of the game which are being developed or being discussed that you might get, well, they've never said this, or where did this come from, or where did this go? They may mention it in the PU monthly reports, in the progress trackers. There's lots of ways you can find information about this. So I've been doing this as kind of thing for just reading it online, and some people asked me to put it up as a separate video after the fact, so that's what I've been doing. So I'm doing a full read-through. I will still give my commentary, some context of what we've seen before. If you've missed previous monthly report videos, I'll say, hey, yeah, this is brought up before. They talked about this in the past. For instance, a good example of this is that we've known here at the pub about the new AI system for months, probably since July. The full breadth and depth of the AI system and how AI were going to work well before they showed it off at CitizenCon. And so when I saw it, I was like, oh, now it's nice to see what they've been talking about. So that's kind of an example. But still, this is very long, as you can see below you. Not a summary. Check it out. Hopefully you enjoy this. And always, let me know if this helps you or not. And if it does help you, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and join us live. With that being said, let's jump into the October monthly report. The October PU monthly report. Man, time flies. All right, first thing, AI content. Throughout October, the AI content team progressed with the vendor and patron behaviors, realizing the full flow of NPCs ordering, carrying, and consuming food and drink. This gives them a sense of life and purpose, as they're always busy doing something. Progress continued on the utility behavior, with AI characters opening crates, taking items out and putting them in. This was a surprisingly complex task, but various elements are now working well together. Other tasks involved polishing the quartermaster behavior, making animation pose updates, setting up wild lines, overhauling documentation, and prototyping food eating. So we're going to start to see player AI ordering food, getting food, sitting down and eating it. So, all right. And then also some wild lines and some stuff on a lot of this stuff is going to be Squadron first. It's important to remember that a lot of these AI features are being developed for Squadron first and then Star Citizen, but because they're being developed on the engine side, you're going to see them through both. Last month, the AI animators continued to refine the Vanduul execution animations to ensure they're perceived as strong and impactful from the first-person perspective, are better suited to be played on the spot if the attack occurs in cramped space, are more believable to be deflected by the player, and allow players to escape or attack once deflected. I really want to see these Vanduul execution animations. They sound so freaking cool. They sound like insta-deaths from like Dark Souls games. This is not the first time they've mentioned it. They've been working on Vanduul attacks this entire year, and it sounds terrifying. The just sheer power and weight that the Vanduul will come to you. The fact that they will try to close the distance to kill you with their melee weapons is, wow, it's brilliant. I love it. All right. On the perception system side, the AI team implemented functionality to allow them to rate and respond to disruptions, which are unexpected scenarios that can be resolved. For example, the lights in a room turning off or an engine being disabled. Players can use this mechanic to disrupt NPC behaviors when they haven't been detected, giving them an opportunity to better infiltrate the level by avoiding patrols and sentries. Very nice. So you can distract, player can also use distractions, action that triggers audio stimuli such as throwing an object to cause NPCs to leave their positions to investigate. CIG, I need you to stop making Dark Souls mixed with Hitman, mixed with Assassin's Creed or Uncharted. All right, stop trying to make the game that everybody wants, because this is just dangerous. This is dangerous, CIG. We had to ensure these events are propagated out of all of the agents within the appropriate area, that they are handled by the perception system, rated against the current threat level, and that the correct behaviors are implemented to resolve the disruptions. The resolution may involve agents going to investigate the source of the disruption, or alternatively, if too many disruptions have occurred, to increase their alertness level. This means that they may take out their weapons, say specific alertness wildlines, hey, who turned out the lights? Or respond quicker to subsequent events. If that's not a wildline Easter egg, I swear to God. We also had to take into consideration the immediate source of disruption may not be what the NPCs wants to investigate. For example, the agent may perceive that a light goes out, but this would turn to investigate the light switch that controls the light, and ultimately, if they encounter the player, to turn the light back on again. If they don't encounter the player, to turn the light back on again. October saw the AI implement rocket launcher and railgun handling. Oh, they've been talking about this for a while. For rocket launchers, NPCs have to consider if the shot will cause explosive splash damage to friendly targets. This check can be disabled using friendly fire trait to enable more reckless enemies. For the railgun, they changed how the behavior works in cover. Now NPCs will start charging the weapon while in cover before emerging to fire. For both of these weapons, the team disabled the standard check to see if weapons can hit the target, so enemies will continue to fire at the target even when in cover. This allows the player to see that the weapons are being fired nearby and responding accordingly, rather than being immediately hit upon leaving cover. As part of this work, they also reviewed the existing shouldered weapon animations. For those of you who don't know, they can also target freaking ships now. Ships and vehicles can be targeted by AI with those rocket launchers and railguns, and ships and vehicles can now target infantry. It's so painful to see them working on this AI stuff and know that it's not going to be in the game for a year. Like, seeing this stuff being like, this is cool as hell, but we're not going to see it for a while. Years, maybe years, but God, I'd like to see this sooner, CIG, that's all I'm saying. Continuing with weapon usage, AI features implemented how NPCs pick up weapons and ammunition during combat. Enemies are under the same ammunition constraints as players, requiring them to conserve it and use other weapons when they run out. NPCs will evaluate the best course of action in the situation, including switching to their secondary weapon, picking up ammunition, or finding a new weapon altogether. When looking for animation, they will take it from boxes, out of loose weapons, or from stowed weapons on dead, incapacitated characters. When looking for weapons, God damn! I'm sorry. If they manage to do half of this, because this sounds like they've done it, like they're finished, they're testing it right now. They managed to do half of this in the game. AI are not just going to be scary, they're going to be like next level. I've never heard of a game that does stuff like this, where AI have a limited amount of ammunition and will have to scrounge ammo from dead comrades. That sounds insane. When looking for weapons, they could get them from racks, find them around the area, or take them from other characters. To implement this, weapons were being set up as usables, which allows the AI to search for the best usable that can provide ammo or a weapon. The team had to modify the usable system slightly, including adding support for usables that supplied themselves, loose weapons or ammo, and ensuring that usable alignment positions are correctly aligned with gravity when weapon or ammo falls. For non-combat AI, the team worked on functionality to support NPCs moving cargo from one location to another, including picking up crates, stacking them on a trolley, moving the trolley to a destination such as a cargo hold, and then taking them to the trolley and restacking them. An existing prototype was also added with new tech to provide behaviors that can be used in varying locations to bring them all to life. They also refined tools to generate better quality cover. This includes making cover generation more robust to edge cases and supporting recognition of cover over certain distances from identified cover edges. This allows cover to be generated in a greater range of areas. Finally, AI features took the first steps towards implementing Buddy AI. It will support gameplay where a player is accompanied by one or more characters. To begin with, they made a rapid prototype featuring some of the functionality that might be required to generate conversations about what the final form of this would be and how it would fit into gameplay. This is just AI. That was just AI animation. No features. That's AI features. This is just 2. AI has been getting incredibly long as these have been going along, but this means they're improving the systems and dialing in the combat systems, including kind of a scavenge survival scenario where AI will look for weapons. They've also increased moving cargo from one location to another, which is obviously in support of future cargo refactor, post-cargo refactor work, including like unloading, having AI unload cargo and load cargo to an area. And on top of this, they're implementing AI that will follow players around. So you're actually the first implementations of what seems to be AI character like crew members. This is obviously not designed for crew members. This is obviously designed for you're on a mission, you're supposed to escort this person, or you're working with this one mercenary or this one security agent. And they're like, hey, you're my backup. Come on, follow me. Let's go. That kind of thing. But this is definitely along those lines. So AI NPC companions. So this is nuts. Like this, a lot of this stuff, and a lot of people, you know, I see chat already kind of this, and I can already see the comments down below being like, this is years away. This isn't years away. This is finished. Like a lot of this stuff is just done. They're at the point where they're waiting for the rest of the game to catch up so they can implement this AI in the game. And we also know that a lot of this stuff is done because they showed us a lot of this stuff off at CitizenCon. This was stuff that the stuff they showed off at CitizenCon was stuff that we have known about because we've been following the monthly reports since like July. So it's kind of nuts. AI tech. Last month, the AI tech team made several usability improvements to the Apollo subsumption tool. Not the Apollo tool, not the Apollo, the subsumption tool. This included updating the multigraph with feature folders and functions to allow organization from the outline view. For example, the designers are now able to delete and move graphs to different folders directly from the outline view panel. They can also drag node connections to an empty section of the graph to open up a drop-down menu that allows them to create a new task. I don't know what that means, but yeah. Minor usability improvements were made too, including allowing the entries into the outline view to collapse and addition of a new filter field to a variable tree view. They also extended the graph view into new custom view style. This is currently used to allow the Apollo to visualize, and edit the master graph files that were previously managed by hand. For perception, the team worked on supporting audio noise level and audio masking. Audio noise level ensures that audio stimuli that don't surpass the basic background noise won't be heard by listeners. New tools were implemented to allow designers to configure audio noise level in an area and type of sounds that should be considered normal in that area. Audio masking makes sure particular audio stimuli are not perceived as anomalous. For example, explosions in a field where fireworks are tested. This allows for players to use the environment as audio cover when performing actions. For example, firing weapons near a shooting range is to not alert NPCs. I'll talk about it in a moment. The team implemented light extensions to action areas. This enabled the designers to link light groups to an area and automatically calculate whether the state of the environment should be light or dark. This impacts the time NPCs require to perceive a target, making it easier to stay hidden in darker areas. AI tech also extended the system that allows for visibility of large objects such as vehicles. Large vehicles can be seen at further distances, but we need to avoid approaches that cost too much on CPU, such as doing raycast for very long distances. To prevent this, we can now describe the visibility of a large object depending on the degree of visual angle. Basically, at which distance is specific size from the observer's perspective, AI tech team. This also allows the team to defer the discovery phase of which objects are within range of large objects. This utilizes one query, which then allows each individual to correctly verify the occlusion of the object. The parameters of visual field of view were also extended to be overridable based off the AI state. For example, allow pilots to see at greater distances and visually target on-foot characters. That's something they talked about last month as well. The team continued extending navigation links to support two main functionalities. Firstly, they enabled usable routing to function with entity links to allow door panels that are linked to a door to be correctly used by NPCs. This allowed them to understand which panel they should use to trigger the right interaction. Secondly, they exposed a way to define the cost of nav links based off specific conditions, such as increasing the cost for vaulting when a character isn't alerted or walking. Those costs now allow the system to describe how preferable actions are from NPC's perspective. For example, a character wouldn't vault, which is a physically demanding action, if not needed. Work began properly allow NPCs to drive ground vehicles. The team are currently verifying the setup of a selection of vehicles to use as reference. They also set up code to switch to the right nav mesh when driving a vehicle and select the right path follower. That was something they started working on last month. It looks like they're continuing to work on that now. Finally, for AI tech, the team worked on locomotion refactor, which involved integrating current work into different streams to begin stabilizing bugs. They also experimented with foot locking during MoveNet and are currently verifying how to use this functionality on various aspects of locomotion, such as during sharp turns. They also implemented a first frame adjustment that allows seamless transition code to improve the entering of usables. This will allow to place specific animation for a specific location with a specific pose. They've been doing that for a while, where they want to make sure that the movement into an animation and out of an animation is super smooth. They've been talking about that for a while. That's something that they've been really trying to dial in for players and NPCs. But this is a lot, and I know there's going to be people who are making, having a good fun, having some good trolling in chat and in the discussions. But the important thing to remember about this is that this is stuff that's being worked on right now and is likely focused on Squadron. Not necessarily Star Citizen, but Squadron. And based off of Chris's own statement, and I'd love to hear more specifics about this, because this is one of those things that they need to be very clear about. None of this is going to be available until server meshing is in game. So if not at 4.0, then shortly after 4.0. Because they need server meshing in order for these to function better, effectively. So the reason why they're developing this separately is because they still need it for Squadron, but it's also needed for Star Citizen, and they won't necessarily be able to put it into Star Citizen until the backend services can even handle these sorts of things. You can even see when they discuss this in the features about CPU load. They don't want to overload the CPU. They want to kind of find other solutions to the problems, because right now it couldn't, like, this AI wouldn't work in what Star Citizen is right now. So, but that's some nuts stuff. Like, that just alone, the AI stuff is a huge update. And I know, because I've skimmed through this, there's better things down on this list too. Animation. Last month, the animation team began discussing bringing creatures into the PU. Our team has just signed off on the rig for the first creature, meaning we can finally start animating our first interactable creature. Animation team. I am looking forward to it. And I really hope it's a dangerous creature, because based off the last thing they talked about, the behavior they were using was the Vandul as the base set for the animation, or for the behavior, which is, I'm hoping Boreal Stalker, because CIG seems to love their microtech. Though I can also dream of a rock, of whip crabs, but it's most likely going to be like the Ranta or the rock bug or whatever it's called, the stone bug. All right. Facial team progressed with AI worker animations, including the bartender. They also worked on various performances for IAE and gameplay for delivering a person from one location to another. So we've got animation talking about people transport and animals. So we got AI going off the fucking chains. We got animation bringing animals and people cargo. Now art characters. Last month, the character art team delivered armor variants for Security Post Korea. Production started on Frontier workwear outfits and undersuits following work done by character concept art team too. Very cool. Art ships. The ship team progressed with the Argo SRV, moving the exterior through the final art phase. Simple, short. This is a Defender made out of bananas and looks like other things. It's definitely supposed to be a Defender. Community. Early in October, the community team supported Day of the Vara. I know this is for the JRDF competition, where you're supposed to make a ship based off of household items. So. Early in October, the community team supported Day of the Vara, the Versus Take on Halloween. Citizens hunted down in-game masks, picked up ghoulish green paints for Drake's ships, and entered pumpkin carving and trick-or-treat video contests. The team then worked on Digital CitizenCon 2022. Alongside the developer panels, they unveiled the new community hub and supported the ship team with their Pick a Ship challenge. Each individual panel and the full show are available to rewatch now. Following the show, Atmo Esports hosted Babbage Bash, which I was part of, by the way. A community-led event where players took on developers in an STV race across Microtech. Steve! Following its reveal during CitizenCon, the team released Crusader Spirit Q&A, with devs answering the community's questions on the new concept ship. The community team also continued their Bar Citizen World Tour with visits to Chicago, New Jersey, Paris, and Madrid. As always, the team wants to know that your hospitality and warm welcome are greatly appreciated. We love getting to make new friends and celebrate Star Citizen with you all. With all of y'all. All of you. Just y'all. I know who's writing this. Y'all. Just say y'all. We'll be visiting more Bar Citizen events in coming months, so stay tuned, community team. There we go. That's pretty cool. Let's see if we see any CIG devs, if I can notice any of them here. I don't see any, no. Do not recognize. They're probably there. I'm just not seeing them properly. All right. All right. The next part is the engine. And I always say this because I always want to emphasize this. I have no idea what they're saying in the engine section. I don't know any of this. I am not an engineer. I do not know. I am not an engine seer or tech priest. I do not know the canticles of the machine spirit. I am not a Starfleet engineer. I cannot turn rocks into replicators. I am not a floating gelatinous creature that was created by the Forerunners to be able to disassemble and reassemble anything. I am simply a dumb person who is reading things to you. So I will read this to the best possible ability I can. But if you know what the hell they're saying, please comment in the comments below to translate this gobbledygook for the rest of us to understand what it actually means, okay? Thank you. In October, the physics team worked on various improvements, including brush physicalization, which was to put into queues of 32 entries, each and forced to be processed in parallel. Spawn batch finalization was reworked to wait for all brush archetypes and their main material clones to be fully physicalized before finalizing the spawned entities and the root spawn batch can now be queried from outside of the entity system. A physics event was added for cluster breakage along with an entity event that detaches the corresponding compounded entity. Additionally, various optimizations were made to improve low-level data access and reduce contention. Also, the physics environment is no longer woken during the bulk destruction of brushes unless they all have a collider. Lastly, severe stalls during entity deletion as well as the network aspects of breakability were fixed. I don't recognize half of those words. I kind of maybe get what they're talking about. Brush archetypes, I think, is just... I don't know. It sounds familiar. Physics events. On the renderer, more progress was made on the Gen 12 transition. I knew that a little bit before that. A lot of work was done on particles. Among other things, the Light Atlas stage was rewritten to make use of material permutation cache, and a lot of code in the GPU particle systems was refactored and cleaned up. The particle submission code and its PSO management were rewritten as well. Furthermore, light lists are now managed per scene pass, which will eventually help simplify the tiled shading stage. Additionally, opaque sun shadows for gas clouds, image ghosting, various game post effects, water droplets, fish, flashbang, ocular migraine, blood vision, the projectile manager, RTT support functionality, and the render target debug viz were ported to Gen 12. That's a lot of stuff ported to Gen 12. Support for transient scene render passes was completed, and the collision checks for resource sets were added. Offline cube maps now use their own pipeline to allow for different feature sets. Lastly, lots of optimizations and cleanups were made all around. Regarding atmosphere and volumetric clouds, improvements were made to the Gen 12 code by adopting the transient passes made available in September. Furthermore, a preview mode was implemented to help lighting artists set up planet atmospheres. Very cool. That's actually a good idea, because a lot of people were questioning why was there suddenly bright white light in Pyro when the Pyro star should be red. That may be the answer right there, is that they were waiting for, they were just doing it in their own mode, and something like this will help them understand the atmospheres a little bit better, so they can get a better lighting angles. That would be something to ask if you had a chance to. On Core Engine, the team made additional improvements to entity lifetime management. This involved adding code to group objects for lifetime management and how entity deletion is handled on stream out. All legacy entity lifetime code was removed. The entity allocator was changed to be page-based. In-engine file mapping support was completed, i.e. faster P4K file access. Initial steps were done to run all game code through include what you use to remove unnecessary header discrepancies, which should ultimately lead to faster incremental compile times. Lastly, in case of failed memory allocations, it is now possible to identify relevant code owners and list them in bug reports automatically to speed up bug processing. The remainder of the time was spent supporting Alpha 3.3.18 and the Live PU. All right, I'm gonna read some translations because someone actually made a translation. I think the first paragraph has to do with spawning flora stuff like grass and allow having natural like grass patches. They want to spawn stuff around and have it scatter naturally, or at least that's what I understand of this. And the person who made that comment is someone I know who's in the industry, so I trust their analysis of that. So that's a good thing. A lot of stuff in there. A lot of this Gen 12 stuff being moved over, which we've kind of known, and it looks like they're trying to support more, everything being moved over to Gen 12. Which is, if you watched the Star Citizen or Inside Star Citizen 2 weeks ago, that was heavily emphasized that you want to move everything over, and they've pretty much done so. So it looks like they're in the end of that process. Features Arena Commander. So those who don't know, this is the team that was created after Firesprite was bought by Sony. In fact, one, if not multiple members of the Firesprite team who worked on the Arena Commander team or worked with Firesprite with Star Citizen actually work for Star Citizen now. So I think the lead of that team works for CIG now. And so they created their own internal team for Arena Commander, which covers Arena Commander, Star Marine, and Theaters of War. Engineering team began this month with quality of life bug fixes. They then added additional post-game score awards and fixed the bleed-out animation type. The team finished integration of Alpha 318's deliverables into game dev, with some minor items, including that will be addressed later. They fixed an issue with a test runner in cases where the actor died and added Jericho Station. Jericho Station was added? Are we getting Jericho internals? That's my dream. Jericho internal is fantastic. And 4 race maps to the back end, which is cool. So new races, which design also submitted levels and records for. Support continued for radar and scanning for Squadron 42, while part of the team supported an issue with vehicles not exploding upon death. A new concept was made for the dual mode pre-game, as team shifts Arena Commander's focus to being the primary competitive ranked mode. The new pre-game allows for players to select from multiple ships outside of their selected one from the front end, as well as see what their opponent has picked. This will act as the game's initial draft system. Following community feedback, additional improvements to dual mode itself were discussed and tasked. This is a brand new game. Like, they're working on a brand new Arena Commander, like a revamp from the ground up. That's what it sounds like. Similar to the Gulag in Warzone is what it sounds like. We are very pleased that the team's direction already matches public opinions. Every topic and issue brought up had already been discussed and scheduled by ACFT, Arena Commander Feature Team. Feature add-ons and bug fixing continued for the new Arena Commander 1.5 front end, including adding video backgrounds per game module. The game also explored how to improve the first deliverable of the new front end, including changes to the layout and how to make the scene feel more like a simulation. Design finished with their initial pass on 5 new racetracks: Snake Pit, Icebreaker, Rotary Station, Dunlow Derby, and Lorville Gateways. New dogfighting map, Jericho Station. So it's a dogfighting map. Okay, it's not internals, it's an exterior. Was successfully playtested and is planned for the upcoming patch. We are getting 5 race maps and a new Arena Commander dogfighting map after like 9 years. Or it's more like 7 years, but that's nuts. We're getting, we had 3 race maps. Now we have 3, let's see, look at that. 4, 6, 7, 8. 8 new maps. 8 race maps. There's more race maps than there are dogfighting maps. Damn. They said this is for an upcoming patch. So this is either 3.18 or 3.19. One of the two. Yeah, let's move on to the features and characters and weapons. I told you, this is a big monthly report. Features, characters, and weapons. Last month, the features team improved the various existing features, including the ability to vault or mantle over a ledge, which can now be triggered mid-jump or fall. Oh, the thing they showed up at CitizenCon. Okay. This adds further options for the level designers when constructing on-foot traversal puzzles. Players can now look up and down while moving on a ladder to help them move where they're going. This is the new movement system. They're already implementing the new movement system in Star Citizen. If they stop, they can look around 360 degrees too. This is done by creating idle animation with 360 poses. The game then picks the frame from the asset which matches for player yaw relative to the ladder. This then becomes the base idle top, which the team can build other actions. For example, being able to jump away from the ladder in a facing direction. The ability to move all items from one inventory to another is now in the final internal test sweep. So you can just select all and pull it over, which is nice. A number of the features the team have been working on were on show during CitizenCon, and really appreciate all the positive feedback received. This is some big QOL stuff. Is this coming in 3.18? I don't think this is coming in 3.18. There's no way the new movement system's coming in 3.18. Features, gameplay. In the US, work continued in the initial implementation of the cargo refactor and the new commodity kiosk UI for Alpha 3.18. This will affect buying, selling, and moving around single SCU resource cargo containers with the tractor beam after purchase and outside green zones. Gameplay features also continue to support the buying and selling of FPS refillable RMS containers and containers created by Vulture and Reclaimer. RMC. I don't know what RMC is. I think that's the little goo containers for salvage. Updates were made to the prison, including the kiosk, which received new gameplay items. Alongside this, the setup and inventories were adjusted across all shops for new commodities that come with cargo refactor. So we're getting new commodities with the cargo refactor. They also updated shops to support IAE merchandise. The shop setup for Pyro began and is ongoing. UI screens for the commodity kiosk, mission manager, and bounty hunting progressed too. So we're getting new UI screens for commodity kiosk, mission manager, and bounty hunting. So we're getting a bounty hunting screen and a new mission manager, which is good. We've been saying for a while that they want to move mission like your mission update on your Mobiglass away from being able to collect missions from the Mobiglass and more as kind of a manage your missions from there. Planning and documentation began for freight elevators and subsequent cargo refactor updates, which will begin in Q4 2022. Documentation and investment began into multi and large container cargo missions that could coincide with the delivery of T1 cargo. So it looks like at least sometime next year, we're going to get version 1 of cargo with full systems that they want to implement. The Manchester and Frankfurt-based teams progressed with hull scraping, adding the finishing touches of quality of life improvements for its balance pass. Additional time was also put into fresh derelict harvestables that can spawn in space to make them look more worn and authentic. They also worked with the Montreal team to add some not clearly identifiable pieces of debris fields and help the US team with the cargo refactor. The team's work on gravity and life support is approaching final, with the remaining of the work on the resource management system that will bring it all together. I think we're going to have the resource management system at least done internally by the end of the year, which is pretty cool. Mission, and this is the thing we already saw on SCL, or ISC. So, features mission. The mission features added polish of various missions, including a new ending to the prison escape that will add further excitement and challenge. Fist fight your way out. Fist fight your way out. That's not it, but I would love to see that. They then worked with art to further expand Jumptown Drug Lab. It is doubled in size and includes a second entrance, second drug dispenser, and multiple windows and skylights to see inside. To improve gunplay on the interior, we made it circular and removed most of the doors for longer sightlines. Jumptown 3.0, baby. Jumptown 3.0. Trespass areas were also updated so that lawful trespass and entering hostile areas are now different. The name of the org in control of the area is also shown upon entering. And once access to the area is revoked, e.g. at the end of the mission, players are shown as a countdown when they'll be trespassing should remain. Oh, cool. For those of you who don't know, CIG is building the org system for players, but it's the same system that they're using for in-game orgs, so like in fiction orgs. They're using the same system, similar to how Rastar is being used for player building, but also they're using every part of the Buffalo. They don't want to build separate systems. They want to use all the systems they can that are the same, so that they look and act the same. So when you're doing a bunker mission where you're going in to help out, say, Crusader Security at a bunker, it'll say you are now entering Crusader Security jurisdiction. So you'll be going into that area, and then now they'll give you time to leave, which is pretty cool. Finally, bugs relating to crime stat and ship collisions were identified and fixed. That's nice. All right, here's a juicy one. Features vehicles. Vehicle features supported the docking and transit features. Both continue to be long-term requirements for teams, such as each release pose. Okay. Both continue to be long-term requirements for the team as each release poses new issues. Particularly with transit, which is likely to remain under the launch of the new transit system. Remain until the launch of the new transit system. The question of that is that the transit system that goes inside like settlements now? Like the subways? Or is this like people moving people? Like airlines, space liners kind of thing. Multifunction displays, MFD, progressed well, with the weapons, emissions, and ship models submitted and working in-game. The self-status screen also made it into a Squadron 42 UI stream, and tasks were started with the comms and weapons self-status MFDs. Work also began on the new version of Quantum Travel, which currently involves refactoring the current feature in preparation for rework. Yeah, Quantum Travel is completely getting overhauled. Like what they showed off at at CitizenCon is only part of it. The actual Quantum Travel system itself is changing. The HUD, the effects, everything is changing with Quantum Travel. Quantum Boost is separate now, but they're changing how Quantum Travel is supposed to work. That's something they brought up over the last several months. The team's AI support increased throughout October. This mostly focused on the ship versus player boss fights in Squadron 42, with the Cutlass now flying with its new behavior on spline attacking the player. They also supported a flight team with both AI and non-AI requests. Are we going to have to fight a freaking Cutlass on foot in Squadron 42? Boss music plays. Oh, God. Okay. Support for Q4 ship release began too, with Q4? Q4? Okay. All right. With tuning currently in progress alongside this, the new ground vehicle tech was further developed and will be enabled in the coming sprint. So we're getting the new ground vehicle tech. For those of you who know, it's like improving how ground vehicles handle. Before this, issues with the Drake Mule driving like a tank will be resolved. Master Mode progressed well in testing. The team confirmed the speeds for SCM boost and quantum travel, and are now testing racing ships and looking into how to balance disabling ships as they change between SCM and QT. Okay, so they've definitely taken CIG's heart, or the community's heart to community's complaints to heart, which is nice. We also used this opportunity to rebalance a lot of weapons, redoing the difference in behaviors that had reset before Alpha 314 rework. Now weapons and equipment will start to actually matter. What you use will start to matter again. Thank you. I don't know, it's like, it's been a while, but it's a little bit a year, but 314 was the beginning of last year, so. Recourse Network support continued with the support conversation and initial work on integrating heat components. The team are currently setting out their design to support the feature, as a lot of components will need converting once the technical work is complete. A recourse? Or is this supposed to be a resource? I think it's supposed to be a resource network, so I think that's a typo. Alongside this, the aiming refactor is now almost complete, with remaining work focused on implementing the new UI. Okay. The fuck are you doing to aiming? Because the last time you fucked with aiming, you fucked everything up, CIG. What are you doing to aiming? This is definitely something you can't just slip into a monthly report and be like, oh yeah, it's almost complete. What the fuck is it? I needed an SCL or an ISC, please. A big step was made on control surfaces. Now ships gliding without thrusters have been reduced to over the previous surface model. Finally, the new restricted areas system passed its go, no-go and is now enabled. So 318 is going to have new restricted area system and gliding. All right, graphics and VFX programming and Planet Tech. In October, God, we are almost done, but like, holy shit. We're not even close to being done. Okay. Ooh. Okay. In October, the team continued to focus on damage maps, fixing missing initial damage on debris, incorrect damage map sizes, and inconsistencies between ship sizes. Time was also spent investigating networking and persistence for debris. Further progress was made on porting gas clouds and CPU particles to Gen 12. The Gen 12 GPU marker refactor was also completed, and some issues were fixed relating to the hair and hologram shaders. For ongoing data pipeline refactor, the team continued to work on skin files, allowing compacted, non-split files to be compiled or loaded. They also implemented process groups in support of multiple input formats. Developments of screen space shadows began, which involved adjusting ray tracing to account for thin objects. Work was also done on anti-alias lines for aux geometry, editor debug, and UI for use on the star map. They also added new features for the UI mesh shader, multi-scale texturing, bi/triplanar projection, smoothing, alongside enabling wetness effects to work with blood, sweat, and tears. That's a joke. That's gotta be a joke. Tears confirmed. You can now harvest salt in Star Citizen because players can cry. You should have just said moistness. They enable wetness for more moist gameplay. Moist. That's interesting. We're getting blood in game. The team closed out Rastar version 1 and fixed the remaining bugs and crashes raised by the content teams. There were also various fixes submitted for rivers. The R&D began on water sim and water rendering improvements. So they're starting to work on the water simulation and water rendering. I wouldn't expect Sea of Thieves level, but I would be over the moon if we got Sea of Thieves level of water simulation. This is the Daymar Derelict Settlement, the Star Runner entrance. See a little tent right here. Lighting. Lighting continued to work on Pyro, Lorville, IAE, Orison's Racetrack, Security Post Korea, and Derelict Space Settlements. Lorville received a lighting cleanup to improve certain areas, while the level as a whole was tidied up to bring it back up to its original intended state. They also closed out various previous locations to ensure that everything is up to scratch. Here's the new racetrack, the buggy racetrack. Locations EU. The EU locations team continued to work on Pyro's rest stop, okay, making great progress on the internals of the station, and then moved focus towards the station's external arms. Like, is this rest stops or is this ruined station? Work also continued on Security Post Korea, and progress was made on the IAE event halls and cargo. They continued their ongoing task of adding life to landing zones too. Very cool. So, I mean, they've talked about the station before. I think it's probably referencing Ruined Station, which we've seen images now of because of CitizenCon. Narrative. As the rush towards IAE and Alpha 318 continued, the narrative team provided additional support to fix bugs and issues that arose through testing. For IAE, they helped deliver new content that was recorded in recent motion capture sessions. My guess is for Whitley's Guide, my guess. This was particularly exciting as we were able to utilize one of our dedicated narrative designers to build the AI behavior to hand over design to implement. Nice. So narrative is starting to get its own like built-in team to help build some stuff. That's cool. Narrative also started working with mission features on existing air traffic control behavior. This will help fix problems with the existing behavior while also supporting the newest upgrades to the system, which will then be standardized for any additional air traffic control characters and scripts in the future. I think this means that we're going to see video, like before when you called for air traffic control on your little like screen, your MFD, you would pop up, the person would pop up being we've got something ready for you. Here's your landing. You're authorized to land. They removed that because it was so buggy and out of date. So I guess they've implemented that as well. They also continued to meet with the mission teams to develop the investigate missions featured in the narrative CitizenCon video. After last month's push, the writers were tasked with coming up with sample mystery for players to investigate, to stress test the foundational system, and see how scalable the mission could be. Just look at adapt any Arthur Conan Doyle story. Just do it. Just do it. Please. In addition, they provided text for upcoming missions and open discussions on a handful of other mission types that would be coming in the next few patches. The team worked closely with the design and UI teams on some of the upcoming Mobiglass apps that will support new gameplay currently in development. Okay, new Mobiglass apps. And new mission types. Next few patches. Okay, that's interesting. This probably has to do with the bounty hunting aspect that they talked about. My guess would be at this point bounty hunting, player transport, and cargo transport, because those themes seems to be the things that they're really focusing on for long term right now. Throughout October, new content was added to the website, including the Spectrum Spectator that explored the history of CitizenCon, a portfolio spotlighting Stegmans, and the return of Old Jegger in the installment of Far From Home. Finally, another installment of the Galactopedia articles made their way out to the archives onto the site. This month's anniversary of CitizenCon marks 10 years worth of content that's made its way to Spectrum Dispatch selection of the website. From the earliest days of time capsules to Cal Mason, Kid Crimson, and news updates, these weekly updates have been a great opportunity to dive deep into the Star Citizen universe. So we want to say thank you all for your enthusiasm and your support over years. No, narrative team. Thank you. Thank you. Also, I hate you. I hate all of you. Because you're writing far more things than I could ever cover on The Astro Historian. By the way, subscribe to The Astro Historian. Link will be up there. There. Do it right now. If you like lore, you want to know more about the lore and of Star Citizen, hint, it's incredibly deep. Check it out, because you're going to want to know about it in the future anyways. So, might as well subscribe now. Online services. The online services team spent October compiling several remaining features, including the new character repair/reset process. Wait, what? Oh, okay. Like reset characters. Okay. Some sort of healing thing? And how in-game transactions are handled. They also improved the new login flow process to allow for faster entry into the game when a player has pre-entitled account, as well as a new retry service that will resubmit a message back to the Surface application for a reattempt. Lastly, the team made quality of life update that sorts out in-game friends alphabetically. This is planned to be included in Alpha 3.18. Cool. We're almost done. Live Tools Montreal. Throughout October, the Live Tools team focused on features relating to the persistent entity streaming, specifically the implementation of the login flow module in the network operation center. This module gathers different features, including the ability to manage entitlements and rentals. It also provides more detailed and precise information to users about login details of players, enabling the detection and analysis of issues. Very cool. So this is a PES login flow module, which is the big one that they've been waiting for that they've actually been testing recently. They did a bunch of tests for login flow for 3.18. The last two tests were login flow issues. So, Turbulent Web Platform. The Turbulent team began the month supporting CitizenCon 2952, including the main event, the Great Cat Steve, the Crusader Spirit pages. The team continued to make improvements on the CMS tool, Alexandria, which supports bespoke web pages. The latest improvements were around the Explore video module, enabling it to add points of interest to video content. A grid module was also created to give another way to display information. Multiple teams from Turbulent contributed to the IAE promotions coming in November. For example, a new web skin was developed to emulate the Expo Hall, and improvements were made into the promotional ship wall. Turbulent's design team focused on generating brand alignment across the website, losing some of the legacy UI elements and bringing in a new look. Thank God. One of Turbulent's biggest launches in October was the release of the updated Community Hub. Community Hub will emerge slowly as most relevant place to see contests, events, and what other community members are live streaming or creating, which you're probably watching right now if you're watching us on the Community Hub. Hi, I'm there. I'm likely the number one that you're watching right now. Meta. As more features come online, it's very arrogant of me. I don't know if I am or not. But I usually am, which always freaks me out about that. As more features come online, it'll bring to emerge as social media platform where you can follow your favorite creators and never miss out on an in-game or live event. That would be my biggest concern with the Community Hub, is that right now it's an okay tool, but I need to be able to follow creators on that hub, making it easier for me to post content and for people to follow that content so that it tracks, so people can gather content creators. Because if people want to know, where do I know about like Star Citizen lore or tutorials or machinima, there should be there. By the way, where's the lore page? Put lore in there. I swear to God, like, I am not the only lore person. There are many of us, and it's just going to grow more. Put in a lore section. Trust me, you're going to need it. Finally, the team continued to rework the roles and access controls for improved security. All right, the UI team. UI team continued developing the new star map. Star map! Particularly the underlying tech that allowed them to easily display it on different locations. For example, in ships, the mobiGlas, and potentially screens in levels. They also updated the controls and improved the look of planets. Alongside working in the interaction prompts seen at CitizenCon, UI continued to adapt and bug fix the loadout systems to ensure that it works with persistent streaming. I really hope we see something about the new star map before the end of the year. That'd be nice to see. VFX. October saw the VFX team complete their work on salvage and repair feature. 2 vehicles continued through VFX production phase, receiving effects for thrusters, damage, atmospheric entry, quantum travel, and shields. Those would be the Drake Cutter and the Pisces C8 Rescue. The team implemented a task pool, which allows artists to tackle various miscellaneous tasks that have accumulated in the backlog. This typically consists of minor bugs and quality of life improvements, but it has been great to be able to focus on these things while continuing to support major content and features. The VFX team. All right, this was a thick update. I'm going to try to summarize it as best I can. So we know they're doing more ships. I'm going to kind of work my way backwards. The mobiGlas star map is going to be able to be displayed in ships, mobiGlas, and screen levels. New community hub. New updates to the website, which is good. PES-based login flow features. Reset, a character reset thing, which maybe allow you to get your stuff back faster if you know, rather than having to like completely reset yourself. Narrative with multiple missions. Multiple mission types. Some new motion capture stuff and stuff for the investigate missions, as well as air traffic control. Pyro got worked on, security post Korea, event halls, cargo, and adding more life to landing zones. Lighting, we got new racetracks, like a bunch of other stuff. Graphics and VFX programming. A lot of stuff being added to Gen 12 and Rastar being done. Rastar version 1 is done. You may have seen them talk about an ISE. Version 1 is finished. It's obviously not going to be the last version they work on, but it's done, which means that developers, it's a tool that developers can now use while they're building things. So that's a good sign. All of the weapons are now going to be, behaviors are now going to be updated, which is nice. Power, like resource power stuff is starting to be added. We see multiple Q4 ship releases, apparently. We have AI being able to attack from ships to ground. MFD updates. Updates to quantum travel. And transit features, which are a little weird. Jumptown has gotten too big. Jumptown 2.0 or too thick. Jumptown too thick. It's gotten doubled the size, multiple entrances, multiple drug dispensers, less easier line of sight, and it's round now. She round. As well as trespassing updates and new prison escape stuff. Let's see. So some of the cargo refactor elevators. We've got mostly cargo refactor stuff for features gameplay. Kiosks. We're getting a UI update for mission manager and bounty hunting screens. More deployable debris fields for you to use your salvage stuff on. And gravity and life support is almost done. The thing that's remaining is the management system. They got the gravity and life support finished. It's just resource management, which is left for that whole feature thing, which likely, based off their current progress, could easily be done by the end of the year, at least internally. Let's see. The new movement system is done, or close to being done. So being able to mantle and like jump off of ladders, and the new system they showed off at CitizenCon, that seemed to be finished, or at least in a state of being done. No idea if it's going to be 318 or not. Arena Commander is coming hard. New dogfighting map and 4 new racing maps. Plus a brand new overhaul with how you log in. It's a completely different way that you're going to play the game. It looks like it's a complete overhaul of how the game's going to be played. And originally it was, they screwed up and said it was going to come in 319 or 318. And then they said it's actually not going to make it to 319. It's going to make it after 318 to 319. That may mean that because 318 got delayed, it'll end up being in 318. But my guess is that 319 is set aside to be the Arena Commander patch, where they relaunch Arena Commander from the ground up to support not only Star Citizen, but Squadron. Because for those of you who don't know, Squadron 42 also has access to Arena Commander. So that is going to be the multiplayer aspect of Squadron. If you buy Squadron, you will all have access to Arena Commander, Star Marine, and Theaters of War, which seems like they're all being rebranded as just Arena Commander. So it'll be interesting to see that. Then the engine, Gen 12. Everything's moving over to Gen 12. Then we've got Community. They're going around the world. They're going to be going to Chicago. They went to Chicago, New Jersey, and Paris, and Madrid. Argo SRV is final art stage in the exterior. Armor for Security Plus Korea. New animations done for new creature. And also gameplay for delivering one person from one place to another. So having passenger gameplay and animal behavior, or not behavior, but animal animation is done. Then the AI team. I'm not even going to go through all of the AI team. Effectively, to give the highlights for this one, it's AI can now shoot from cover with large rocket launchers and the railgun. They can now attack ground targets and ground targets can attack air targets. Their behavior about like how they move, and they're not going to mantle over things unless they have to. They'll move normally. They'll scrounge for ammo and scrounge for weapons if they run out of them. There's a whole new way that like light visibility will affect how they move. You can take up a rock and throw it, and making noise, they'll go investigate it. They'll investigate. You can distract AI now. And then like on top of all of this, you have food and drink patrons and like cargo moving AI, and freaking Van Duel doing executions on players. We're getting AI that's going to be part Hitman or like Assassin's Creed mixed with freaking Dark Souls, all wrapped up in whatever the heck CIG is doing with FPS combat. It's nuts. This is a huge monthly report. You really need to go through it and read it with a fine-tooth comb. But the short answer to this is something has happened. I don't know what it is, and I don't know when it's going to actually break, but there's a lot of content that's being finished. Likely not for 318, but likely shortly after 318 and around 4.0 or after 4.0. CIG is gearing up. The joke about the floodgates opening. Oh, yeah, well, I don't think we're going to see like a huge thing flood out, but this update tells me that they are well along the ways for releasing a bunch of new content. But I want to know what you think in the comments below. Am I high on the copium and the hopium? Does this feel like the same way to you as something's happening at CIG? Something's happening here. And of course, do you think these are valuable? Do you enjoy me talking about this, reading them out loud to you? I need to know these things in the comments below. And if you do, subscribe to the channel, like the video, join us live on Thursdays where we talk about this. Say hi, chat. because right after this, we're going to talk about this with the chat itself, and you'll learn a little bit more. But yeah, like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.